let's answer your questions. Many of you ask, why a campervan in Malaysia? The truth is, in Singapore, there's this thing called COE, which makes vehicles extremely unaffordable. If you realize that most campervan conversions happens around on a budget front, where they take very old vehicles and convert them, a second use kind of thing. We're not living in the vans full time. It doesn't make sense to get such a new vehicle. So most people will use an old vehicle, which is impossible to get in Singapore. So you cannot do it in Singapore. Two, there's just no place to camp in Singapore. Singapore is a place that's so land scarce that even camping is difficult. Hell, there's even a rule that you can't even cook with fire at a campsite. What's the point of camping in Singapore? So if you want to do this kind of lifestyle, so we'll look elsewhere, and the nearest place we can look at is just across the border in Malaysia. Hence Malaysia. Before this, I've seen a couple of other Singaporeans who have successfully got a van in Malaysia, and that's what gave me the confidence that it's possible. I knew it's not going to be easy, but at least I know it's possible. I think the biggest problem with having a van in Malaysia is that it is not in your own country. Everything you want to do, it's of a different laws, different culture, and most importantly, every time you want to go back to your van, you have to cross the border to get to Malaysia. And if the guys are not watching from this area, you know that the land link between Singapore and Malaysia is the busiest land crossing in the world. It is famous for its jams. I don't have a car, so I get across through public transport, which for half the time is actually faster than going across with the car, because the public transport gets through the jam quite quickly. I have spoken to other people who have this dual life of half the time in Singapore and half the time in Malaysia, and they all have feedback to me. The only way to access this duality of life between Singapore and Malaysia is to get a bike. So I'm in the process of getting a bike license, and hopefully that works out. We will see when the RTS opens up if it changes anything. But at this moment, it seems like having a bike gives you the best flexibility to access life in Singapore and a life in Malaysia and to the van. Why campervan? Ever since we first had the first experience of campervan in Perth a couple of years back, I think the family just fell in love with the idea of traveling that way. It's a lot slower. You get to see a lot of things. As someone who loves to cook, I just love the idea that I have the kitchen everywhere I go. I can cook it, I can share with people. Many years ago, when I was a young man, I saw this video of Jamie Oliver, who traveled around Italy in a campervan for his 30th birthday. I think that video really struck a chord with me. I looked at that video and I said, I want to do that. Now that I'm 40, I guess I'm slowly trying to realize the dream. Yeah, there's just something about it. As a Singaporean, and I think many Singaporeans watching this video will attest to that, we live in a super fast-paced environment. Many Singaporeans, myself included, never even knew what a slow living means. And I don't want that for my daughter. I want her to see that there's an alternative to life than the fast-paced life that Singapore provides. There's also slow living that the rest of the world enjoys as well. So while my kid is still young, this campervan, I hope that I can show her that there's just not one way of living. There's more. The way that we live in Singapore, the fast-paced life, is not just one way. There are also alternative lifestyles of slow living, chill, and she has a choice to decide when she's older which path she wants to take. Also, I am a sucker for big projects. I just love a big project. I love to do things DIY. I love to do things from scratch, which is why I pick up cooking in the first place, because if I had a space in the garage, I think I might be a carpenter instead. But because I live in Singapore, there's no space, we live in apartments. Cooking is just the first outlet. So I'm really excited to actually do woodworking and do some carpentry work and do some major DIY projects on this van. Some of you might comment that, oh my god, it looks so tiring. Yes, it's tiring, but I truly enjoy it. Not enjoying taking the things out, because that's not building things, that's just tearing it down. But now that we have a blank canvas, I'm really looking forward to building all the stuff, the bed frames, the battery systems. Whereas you're going to get through such a diverse skill set. You're going through carpentry, you're going through electrical work, you're going through plumbing works, you're going through insulation, and to me that's really fun. On a personal note, I do have aspirations to retire in Malaysia or Thailand, or somewhere where life is not as fast-paced. So this is my first feet into that. A lot of you commented on why such an old vehicle? So the truth is that it's just the first opportunity came up to me. I took it. So, but to be fair, there's a lot of considerations before you choose the vehicle for campervan, especially in a country like Malaysia. So you can choose the different types of sizes in the campervan. You have car camping, people sleep in the car, maximum ability to travel around, but minimal comfort. And then you go to a micro camper, which is sort of a small van like ours, like this, a small van like this. You have an RV, like a Mercedes Sprinter, like a big van, nice comfort, but big size, difficult to travel around. There are people even convert bus for living purposes as well. But the bigger the vehicle, the less ability it has to travel. While you surely got the comforts of a toilet and a shower, but you lose the ability to travel, especially in a country Malaysia where the streets are not as big. You can have difficulty parking, you have difficulty traveling around, which kind of defeats the purpose of why do you want a campervan in the first place. I think the purpose of a campervan is sort of to go to places and to explore and to live near them, which sort of requires a smaller vehicle. So sure, you can have the comfort, but you lose the ability to travel. I think if you are so hard about the comforts of a home, perhaps a hotel is a better way of travel for you than a campervan. Of course, I'm gonna make it as comfortable as I can. We're gonna have a nice bed, slightly larger than the last one. I'm gonna make sure that we have a way to shower when the time comes. I'm gonna make sure that there's a way to go to the restroom when the time comes. But surely we can't have it permanently built inside the van. But we have to take into considerations those options as well. And I think one of the criteria that people has forgotten about choosing for campervan is reliability. When you have a campervan, it is designed to travel for long distance. It is bound to break down, and reliability is one of the most important factors. A lot of the Mercedes Sprinter vans, if you look at on YouTube, it looks great. There's a lot of space, showers and stuff like that. But when they break down, they cost a lot of repair, and not to mention they're not as easily to be repaired. Now imagine yourself in a scenario where you're in the middle of in the countryside in Malaysia, in the kampong, and the van breaks down. How are you going to get it repaired? So this Toyota Hiace is a beast because it is famous for being highly reliable, and it is also famous for being easy to repair. If you're in a kampong, if you're anywhere in the countryside, someone will know how to repair this thing. I think that's one of the key criteria when I saw as a Toyota Hiace, that when it breaks down in the middle of nowhere, you can be well assured in the middle of Thailand or anywhere, someone can repair this, and that is an important aspect of choosing a campervan as well. It comes to the question of, can you buy a vehicle in Malaysia as a foreigner? Yes, you absolutely can. The only problem is that as a Singaporean, you cannot drive the Malaysian vehicle to Singapore. That's all. So you have to do the commute back and forth. But other than that, yeah, you can. A lot of people are buying their toy rigs, 4x4, off-road vehicles, sports cars in Malaysia. Do it. It comes out the question then, where to park. I'm very fortunate that my father-in-law's friend has a space here and he has allowed me to park here. Shout out to Uncle Jason. But if not, you can also rent places to park. Plenty of options if you look on Muda, which is like the carousel version in Malaysia, people are renting out places to park. The only consideration is that because we have a high roof, which is 2.2 meter high, that limits our places to park, because a lot of them are actually condo multi-story car parks, which this vehicle can't enter. So you imagine you have a big van, good luck to finding a place to park as well. Next question. A lot of you has mentioned that Malaysia is too hot for campervan life. Yes, it is, but doesn't mean it's not doable. If you think about a lot of traditional places where are thriving campervan communities, those places are actually too cold for campervan. The key is not about the environment, the key is actually about how you insulate the van such that it is livable inside. In those very cold countries, they put a lot of insulations to keep the cold out. Here we have to do the same thing as well, sure that the insulation is very, very well done to keep the heat out. They also have heaters because it's too cold. We can have air conditioning as well. So when you're in more the nature area, it's actually cooler than the city. The city is very hot, but I don't think you're having a campervan to live in the city. So various plans to have a whole battery system, solar panels to a battery system to power the air conditioning unit. That is what I need to figure out. So stay tuned for that. About the cost, I can share how much I spent on getting this van. For the full breakdown of the cost, I have to share it when the vehicle is fully converted. But I spent 5,000 Singapore dollars on this van. It came fully converted with battery, solar panels, and fittings, which I did not use at all. So that's on me. On hindsight, I probably should have just got a regular van and convert from there, because it would have saved a lot more time and headache. But it is what it is, so my pain, your gains. Oh, many of you ask if this van used to belong to Martin and Jacinda from MJ Road Tripping. Yes, it is. They were the previous owner. They were planning to go from Singapore to Portugal in this van. However, I think COVID came and they could have abandoned the plan, so we are now in possession of the van. In between them, they actually sold it to another guy who I knew, who actually used it to stay in the farm for a while, and he sold it then to me. Some of you also asked what is the big plan for this van. So I plan to go for a long trip next year before my daughter goes to primary school. At the very least, we're planning to go from Singapore to Malaysia and then back. But if it's possible, I would love to go to China, because China has a huge campervan culture. They have lots of beautiful campsites. They have lots of, the campervan culture is so rich there. So in this whole region, China would have the best campervan culture. So I would love to go reach there actually. Alright, so a lot of you have commented that you have got a 4x4. I wish I have a 4x4, but this was the opportunity that came up. I just jumped at it. I wish I had 4x4, but there isn't a van style 4x4 option in Malaysia. I think you're thinking about it, for Australia, they have these 4x4 Sprinter vans. So a lot of in Australia, they actually have a Toyota Hiace that's a 4x4 version. All these options not really available in Singapore. And I think part of me is I'm not sure about how this van life is going to work out between Singapore and Malaysia. So I just want something that's cheap. I just want something as a test bed. And so when this opportunity came up, I thought it was an affordable amount of money. So I'm just going to give this a try. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A questions. If you have any more further questions, put it down in the comments below and I will get to it the next round. If you have not yet subscribed, do subscribe. It helps us a lot. Helps to pay for petrol, which is extremely expensive right now. Yeah, stay tuned for our adventure. Let us know what you want to see actually. Also leave in the comments what you want to see in the next videos, in the next episodes, and cheers!